Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to IDC WIN Workplace Solution webinar. Today, we're really excited to have our first carrier. We've done some training sessions. We did a pension group retirement pension one last month, but we're getting into why you need to work and see the benefits of an actual carrier. So that being the case, we also feel that it's really important that we get carrier exposure and to let you as advisors understand what's going on in the marketplace. And it's, every carrier has the way that their product works and what makes them great. Equitable Life is what I would like to call a boutique firm. Outside of the box thinking, they take customer service really seriously. They're an amazing organization, and definitely something that if we've done some work for you or you see them on the spreadsheet, there's a reason why they're on the spreadsheet. And whether that's coming from our own consulting that we're doing with you as the advisor, but if it's, you guys, when we showcase what we're doing, there's a reason and a thought behind everything that we do. So if Equitable Life is on the spreadsheet, there is a reason why. And I'm going to push it over to Kate and to Megan, and they're going to tell you why Equitable Life is something that you need to pay attention to, and why working with us at IDC and with Equitable is a great partnership. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. We've got Kate Madden and Megan Vallis, and they're going to take it over. Again, I'm going to put monitor the chats, and if you have any other questions or concerns, please do feel free to reach out at any time.
Kate, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself and take us away?
Sure. My name is Kate Madden. I'm the Group Account Executive. I'm based in Vancouver, but I work with Marni and David and Candy across the whole country. I report to Megan, who's a fantastic leader and more plugged in than anyone else I've ever met in the business. And I've been in group benefits now for going on 16 years. I've worked with RBC, with Sun Life, with Green Shield, and now with Equitable.
Excellent. Thanks, Kate. I'm Megan Vallis. I'm the Group Sales VP for Western Canada and for also the MyFlex benefit product at Equitable. I've been in the group business since 2006, and I'm really all about trying to help our advisor partners create a braggable benefits experience for your clients. And so that's really how I kind of operate on a day-to-day basis, kind of thinking about your experience and your client's experience so that their benefit program is the best that it can be and truly is something that an employer can brag about to their employees, and employees might just maybe even brag about to their friends. So you might see some hints in through our presentation on that experience and what makes it worth telling the world about, because I think when it comes to benefits, it's insurance, and it's easy for regular folk to not get too excited about. So we try to up the game a little bit. Kate is your day-to-day go-to person. If you're talking to me, we've probably got a serious problem, but I'm always happy to connect and network and just talk benefits with people in our industry. But hopefully you don't actually see me very often. We've got the agenda up here. We're going to go through a lot of great topics today, and we'll dive right in. So just a really quick kind of who Equitable is. I won't stay here long, but I want to point out a couple of, I think, important notes here. We are proudly Canadian. And a lot of the insurers are proudly Canadian, but for us, what that means is that all of our employees are in Canada. Our head office is in Kitchener-Waterloo, where there's a lot of group insurance head offices, but our call center is in Canada. And this is important because having a wholly Canadian employee group, all 1,000 of us work in Canada, means that your client's data is not leaving Canada. And this is becoming more and more important for PIPEDA compliance and employers wanting to understand how their data is protected. And one really key piece of that is keeping it in Canada. Another piece is our mutuality. There's not that many mutual insurers left. There's a couple, us, Beneva. But what mutuality means for, I think, you and for your clients on the group side, I think we probably understand that on the life insurance side, it can mean some participating policy benefits and some dividends. But for group, what it really means is that when we're sitting around at the leadership level, making strategy for the long term, we're making decisions based on what's good for the client and what's good for our advisor partners, not based on what's going to get us the largest shareholder return. So our process and how we operate is a lot different. And I think, Marni referenced this with just our values, why we partner and kind of that boutique firm feel. It also helps us operate quite strategically and nimbly. We're able to respond to market demands or surprise announcements from the government, such as dental programs, very quickly. But we do kind of have that boutique firm status, but that's not to say we're small. Boutique doesn't necessarily mean small. I think it's more a mindset of how we operate. We are quite large. We have over $600 million of group premium. We have this number here, I think, needs to be updated. I think we have more than $8 billion under assets administration now. We've been around for over 100 years, and we're financially stable. All of our scores that people, post about, Morningstar, LICATs, are through the roof. And to the point that actually, we're kind of looking at some of our cash hoard, and because we're mutual, how we invest that back into our clients and advisors. And we've made some really great investments in the company in the past couple of years. We'll talk about some of those, kind of the what's coming as we go through. So moving into kind of that experience and how we really protect, how we have you, how we have your clients' backs. Kate, you can move on. We've got a little bit of proof in the pudding. So I'll try to share some stories to make you feel comfortable with what I'm telling you, that it's not just talk. We do have some proof in the pudding here. We're really proud of our experience that we have with advisors and our service level that we provide to advisors and to clients. And what I have up on the screen right now is the results from the NMG survey. NMG is a consulting firm, and every year they conduct an extremely in-depth survey with advisors, consultants, third-party administrators. So these are our rankings from your peers. They do interviews with over 100 advisors across the country. And as you can see, we've got top marks in a lot of big categories across the board. Overall ranking number 2, relationship management number 1. I think really importantly, fairness, timeliness of disability claims, plan implementation, overall service to plan sponsors, intermediaries, clients, one. There's lots of great scores here. So we're really proud of this, and this is the feedback from your peers, so that's great to see. And keeping on this frame, I think that we have these great scores because these are our guiding principles. We have a service-first model, and everyone in the company in group benefits operates under these guiding principles, having empathy, making it easy to do business, taking ownership when things do go badly, and then treating people fairly. I think that these are extremely important. I won't dive into exactly what all of these mean. I think we've got a lot of good material today, so I won't dwell here. But if anyone wants to talk in more detail about our guiding principles and how we live by them, happy to chat about that. And I'm talking about this because when it comes down to it, bad service costs money. Here's a couple of stats from an individual insurance survey, but I think it's relevant to us in group. And it's 42% of customers who say they feel a sense of loyalty to their insurer do so because they receive fast and reliable communication. And we know that we're representing you in the background because you've made a recommendation on us. So if we're not living up to a consumer expectation, that can reflect negatively on you, and we're aware of that. So we want to make sure we're always making you look good by doing this. And on the flip side, we see again, employees who got their insurance through their employer say they would leave after just a few bad experiences. So again, I think this really shows how important your partner recommendations are. You could lose a client because of an insurer. You could be open up to an agent of record situation where your client is no longer happy with you, and when they get that phone call, someone just saying, hey, I can save you 10%, maybe they're more apt to listen. So this is why we focus here, and we think it's really important. I won't dwell here too long, but I will tell you one short story about how we really walk the talk on this, and it's related to a CI claim. So Chubb is our partner for critical illness. We don't actually have our own group CI product at this time. And just last December, we had a plan member who submitted a CI claim, and they were declined because they were over age 65 when they received their diagnosis. Seems like a pretty straightforward decline. CI terminates at 65, they're over 65, cut and dry. But when you dig into the claim, it actually wasn't that straightforward, because what had happened is that this plan member had been actively seeking a diagnosis for around 18 months. And we know that because of COVID, there have been lengthy delays in people being able to access care, access the testing and diagnosis that's been required. And so they had begun the diagnosis journey well before they turned 65. And in a pre-COVID scenario, they would have received their diagnosis. So we felt like the right thing to do was to pay this claim. Ultimately, Chubb didn't want to because it was outside of the contract. But like I said, we knew that paying the claim was the right thing to do. And the client wanted us to pay the claim too. It's always important to understand whether or not the plan sponsor wants you to pay something outside of the contract. And here they did. We were all on the same page that it was the right thing to do. So our group leader, Mark Averia, who's senior vice president of all of group, he called the CEO of Chubb and he was like, hey, this claim will be paid. It's just a matter of who's going to pay it, because we'll pay it, but you're our partner. So in the spirit of our partnership, we would love for you to pay this claim. And they did, which was great. I think having that conversation connected us more deeply as a partner, but ultimately we were willing to step up and say, hey, like, this is the right thing to do. And that comes back to the fairness and the taking ownership that we were talking about earlier. I want to briefly get into a little bit of some technical details, because on this framework of, service, making great recommendations, a lot of what we do comes down to price. And I think that there is a bottom line price, and then there's a lot of factors built into that. And sometimes cheaper can actually mean more expensive. So I want to quickly share with you some math. It's math time, everyone. I hope you've had your coffee, for those of you in the West, and that for those of you in the East, you didn't have too much for lunch, so you're feeling pretty fresh here. I won't get too technical. I'm going to make this nice and big so that everyone can see it. This is a pretty classic kind of spreadsheet that we might see, a rate spreadsheet that we might see presented to a client. Over here, we've got the plan design comparison, and obviously this is all important. It's not just about the rates, the plan design here too. But what I wanted to highlight today is how some of the factors beyond just the bottom line cost actually impact that total long-term rate stability scenario. And I think most plan sponsors, most employers would like to have a stable year-over-year experience. Some business owners might be in a situation where they're like, hey, this year I just need to save some money. This is going to be client by client, but this is important to kind of understand. So here I'm going to focus on sort of three different scenarios, maybe a current carrier proposed and another option. Doesn't matter what insurer it is, if it's us anyway, we're going to look at some general factors here to keep things really simple, because I'm talking about the benefits that at renewal, renew based on a claims versus premium comparison. I've just tucked in a small claim amount. The IBNR is the incurred not reported. This is a factor that insurance carriers tack in for claims that have happened. A plan member has gone out and had a service, but they haven't reported it or claimed it yet. So this is a reserve fund that we're required to build. Then we have the fund trend, inflation, increased utilization, etc. So these factors are debatable. They're different with insurance carriers. That's not what we're talking about. I've just kind of put in some standard factors for this example. So $800 of claims turns into just under $970. So if we look down here, again, to keep things very simple, just putting in 10 people at a $10 healthcare rate. What a dream rate. But again, let's keep the math simple for this example. So what I want to show here is we have $100 of monthly premium for healthcare, which equals, we'll get into the math portion here. We've got premium. So we have $1,200 of annual premium. The pooling charge that an insurance carrier includes in the plan is for claims over and above a certain threshold, maybe $10,000, maybe $15,000, maybe $20,000. And then also for out-of-country claims, out-of-province, which are paid at first dollar. The pooling charge is generally a percentage of premium. Sometimes it's a percentage of claims. I'm making an assumption here that it's a percent of premium. So first, what I want to illustrate is how a pooling charge can impact a renewal, because when you see the rate are $10, the pooling charge is built in there. So here we have the pooling charge 9%, a 20%. Let's make this 15. We've got some Ontario folks here, so you might not be seeing single digits like we do often in BC. So we'll do a nice spread here. And then we're going to even out the target loss ratio the same for everyone. And then some really rough math. So we're looking at what the actual premium is net of the pooling charge, which is what an insurance carrier uses. And we're looking at the claims, creating a loss ratio, which is compared to a target to get a rate change. So you can see how dramatically the pooling charge can, impact a rate change. Here we have a lower pooling charge at 9%. We're going to have a rate reduction next year. Pooling charge of 15%, we're going to have a 5% increase. A pooling charge at 25%, we're going to have a 20% increase next year. So when you have similar premiums across the board, this is where it's important to get into those factors. And this is probably where the team at IDC is trying to, show you these things. But here's some really straightforward, this is why it matters math. And I'm happy to share this spreadsheet too, Marni, you can share it around. I think that this is a nice illustration if you want to, if you have a more technical client to help show this. So let's instead change the pooling charge so that it's the same for everyone. And let's change the target loss ratio. 90% is very high, not normal, but it doesn't matter here for the illustration. The target loss ratio basically says for every dollar of premium collected, how much in claims is the insurance carrier budgeting to pay out? So a 90% target loss ratio means we're going to budget 90 cents to pay out to a client. That's not realistic for most groups. So let's put in a little 80% here, and then maybe a 78 and a 74. So again, we see just how dramatically the rate change will be with these factors. When you combine them together, you've got a low pooling charge and a low TLR versus a high, a low pooling charge, high TLR. When you change it so that it's kind of bad, worse factors all around, you can really see the impact to the client. And I'm sharing this because a couple reasons. First, we have a great block arrangement where you have enhanced target loss ratios compared to if we just quoted, the same client direct with another advisor. So we have a great partnership agreement here that gives you enhanced factors. And also Equitable Life is known for having stellar pooling charges because we've done a great job to adjudicate drug claims utilizing methods that don't negatively impact the plan member, but will save the plan sponsor money. Kate will kind of touch on some of those later. So I thought it was important to spend a couple of minutes here because these financial factors have such a big impact on your client recommendation. And I think sometimes they get glazed over because it's math and you got to spend a little bit more time having discussion instead of kind of just going, oh, well, this costs that, it's in your budget. There's a little bit more meat here.
Can I just jump in for 1 second? Just based off of what you said about the partnership that we have together, IDC WIN Workplace Solutions and Equitable Life, because I just did a little bit of a search on the participants on the line. And there are a lot of advisors who utilize our services, so you know what you can expect from us and how we present and when we do our marketing and all that great stuff. But there are a lot of advisors who are on this call right now who have not utilized our services and know that you might be an IDC WIN advisor on the life side that doesn't give you access to the arrangement that Equitable has with IDC WIN on the group side, and that that target loss ratio that we have established as a firm supporter of one another comes through our office with our business models, with us as advisors supporting you, or us as an MGA supporting you, the advisor on the line, in partnership with Equitable Life. So I just want to make sure that we're clear for anybody who's never attended any of our seminars before or know what our business models are, that you should reach out to Candy, who I also know is on the line or on here, and to myself for more information about that. But the partnership that Equitable Life has based on that TLR is through our office and through the relationships of how we work with advisors and the partnership that we have with Equitable Life. So I just want to make sure that we're clear. And if anybody has any questions, you can put that in the chat or set up some one-on-ones with Candy and myself.
Thanks for that clarification, Marni. I think that's really important for everyone to understand. And there's other kind of perks in that partnership as well, like enhanced NEMs. So there's a lot of great reasons to utilize that block arrangement that we have in that preferred partnership. And I'm going to hand it over to Kate now to chat about some of our excellent product options that we offer.
So value-added services, I think something really important to consider. You saw just kind of how cheaper can sometimes be more expensive, but what are some of the things that are part of the plan that add value to the plan sponsor, to the plan member, to their spouses and their dependents? So one of the things that we're very proud of introducing last year is gender affirmation benefits. And when you look at surveys of the intergenerational workplace that we're all living in, like 5 different generations in the workplace, the generations coming up, the millennial and the Gen Z generations, value diversity, equity, and inclusion is a key component of their workplace more than any other plan out there. Gender affirmation benefits are, you might be saying that thing, well, that's just cosmetic surgery or what have you. Well, that certainly is something that people have thought, but these are life-saving benefits. These are things that allow people to align their physical appearance with their internal disposition. And I can say from a personal experience, I just used it last night. In fact, I submitted a very large claim for electrolysis. I had you might see some bruising under my chin here as I talk, and it's a fantastic thing that I think can really help, again, the plan member, their spouse, or their dependents. Drug plan management, we see that with the pooling charge, and I'll get into that in a minute, but we have a super engaged pharma team. I've mentioned this is the 4th carrier that I've worked with, and I've never worked with a more engaged pharmacy team. And I've always looked from afar going, wow, that's a really great team over there. And it's really cool to be a part of it. And in fact, when I first started a year ago, the first couple of proposals I got, I thought maybe the underwriter had made a mistake because the pool charges were just so much lower than what I was used to. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about focusing mental health in the workplace, but what our Health Connector package can offer. So that's included in all of our proposals for free for the first year. It includes, like second opinion service. So like you can go get a second opinion if you've been diagnosed with something at UCLA, Massachusetts General, Liberty Jefferson Hospital. There's also CarePath. Like I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had family or who's dealt with it themselves with cancer. It's a healthcare navigation service with cancer, and when you think about the stress and the impact that has on a family, like I'm sure a lot of you on the call today sell a lot of critical illness insurance because it makes a difference, an amazing impact in people's lives. So we'll move to the next slide there. Megan. Drug costs is something that we've seen just increase exponentially year over year over year. And one of the main drivers of that are biologic drugs. And, like you might be thinking, well, I go to the pharmacy, I get my Lipitor, for example, or what have you, but biologic drugs are different than chemical drugs, and they're drugs that are made out of organic materials. So like if you think like yeast or bacteria, these are living organisms, and biologic drugs are made from this. And so Enbrel or Remicade would be the two most common biologic drugs that are out there, and they help people dealing with rheumatoid arthritis. They deal with eczema. They deal with all sorts of different things, diabetes as well, that sort of thing. But if there's any difference in the manufacturing or the delivery of that biologic drug, it actually impacts the efficacy of the drug. And so there's this program out there. There's these type of drugs. They're not generic drugs per se, in the same way that you've got Lipitor and Statin, but biosimilars. And so where Remicade might cover 5 different health conditions, the biosimilar equivalent is only going to cover, say, 2. And there's different programs across the country, and we integrate seamlessly with those provincial programs to support your client and their families. Moving into the specialty drug management.
I'll just interject really quickly here, just to so everyone is aware of why you might want to use a biosimilar versus a biooriginator. Biosimilars cost about 50% or maybe even less of what the biologic originator drug costs. And biosimilar drugs that are approved for a condition are, as they're not interchangeable, but in place of the biologic originator. I want to just really clarify that they are approved because the efficacy of the drug is up to snuff. And it just takes time, like Kate mentioned, if you have Remicade that's approved for maybe 5 different conditions, it takes time for the biosimilar to be approved for the same 5 conditions, because the studies and the testing need to be there, the proof in the pudding, like I always like to speak to. But there's massive savings to be had with biosimilars, and you'll recall that the Ontario government recently announced that they are doing a biosimilar switch program. So people who are taking a biologic originator drug will be switched to a biosimilar drug. So we'll be hearing a lot more about this, because now that Ontario has this program, all the other provinces already have a program in place. Ontario has been the last one to kind of pull the trigger. You'll hear insurers talking a lot about their strategy for biosimilar drugs and transitioning people using an originator to a biosimilar, because it will save everyone money. If there's a co-insurance, it will save the plan member. It will save the plan sponsor on their claims and also on their pooling charges. Our claim cost will reduce. So it's overall a really good thing. Just wanted to make that the cost difference. It's extremely impactful, into the millions of dollars.
Yeah. So moving in then to specialty drug management program, it's easy to say, okay, I want the most expensive drug, or the drug with the most advertising. One of the challenges I think that patients find and plan sponsors find is that doctors and the Canadian Medical Association have taken the position that ethically, it's not their role to know the cost of any drug that they're prescribing. So they just prescribe what they feel is the most effective drug for you. So, the right condition at the right time for the right patient. But, is that from a cost perspective? Is that something that the plan member can handle? Like what if it's a $35,000 drug and it's only 80% coinsurance? Or what if the plan doesn't cover it? Or what if there's other options available? And as a plan sponsor, as someone talking to plan sponsors, a good question to ask is, how much do you think the organization is responsible for helping employees and their families, and how much should employees participate in the cost of that? So, at what point does the employer's responsibility end and the employee's responsibility begin? And with the specialty drug management program, I think that gives a tool to your clients in terms of managing the costs effectively. There's different prior authorization processes, like, was this the right drug and we can move into this drug instead, or what have you. If, like me, you watched the World Cup recently, or you're watching TV, you may have seen the first phase. I've figured out this week that there's two phases of the advertising campaign, but the first phase was what's Ozempic, and just inundated with ads over the last several months about what's Ozempic. This week they just changed the ads to I asked. I don't know if anyone's seen that yet, but it's I asked. And so ask your doctor about Ozempic today. And on the surface, it's an effective diabetes drug. Glucagon limited. I can't quite remember the whole thing, but there's a glucagon-based type of diabetes medication. There's a sodium type-based type of diabetes medication. But Ozempic's a very effective diabetes medication. However, a lot of these drugs can be used off-label. And Ozempic is one of these drugs that actually has a tremendous impact for weight loss. So if you grab your phone after the call, and go on TikTok, if you haven't deleted it because of security concerns, just type in Ozempic journey, or my weight loss through Ozempic, and you'll see video after video after video of people who have had dramatic weight losses through Ozempic. Vanity Fair published an article, I'm going to say about 6 weeks ago, about it, and I think famously Elon Musk has used it. However, there's been no long-term studies about the impact of Ozempic on the body when it's used for things other than diabetes, and their website makes very clear that there is a significant risk of pancreatic cancer. So, all those things aside, it's also expensive. And, we're seeing governments now, just last week, British Columbia made a change where, because it's how it's being used, they're limiting distribution. So it's for Canadians only. It was being shipped to the States. But how does this impact your plan sponsor, your client, if all of a sudden people are using this for weight loss instead of for diabetes? And, diabetes, whether that be the continuous glucose monitors or different medications, testing strips, like, this is a significant expense for, I think, any plan sponsor across the country, whether it be from lifestyle, whether it be from demographics. It's something that is we need to keep on top of.
Megan, do you have I have a comment. This Ozempic piece is a very, very sensitive topic. As a consultant and an MGA managing, between Candy and I and David, I think we did the numbers. We manage over 550 groups. If I don't get a call once a week of why did my claim for Ozempic get declined, I just want to be clear that Ozempic in Canada, from my understanding, is prescribed for people who have diabetes. Now, if your doctor or your client's your client's employee get this prescription for weight loss, it might 9 times out of 10 will not go through the plan because the DIN number is associated with diabetes not with weight loss management. So we have a lot of clients who, or advisors who call and say, why can't this claim got denied? Well, it got denied because your employee does not have diabetes. They have a weight loss issue. And so that claim is not going through because it was prescribed for weight loss, not because they're diabetic. Am I clear?
Yeah, that's right. And to clarify, Health Canada has not approved Ozempic for weight loss. It's only approved for diabetes treatment. And what's happening is that when a plan member is prescribed Ozempic for weight loss and it goes through the plan, that plan sponsor may not have drug coverage for weight loss drugs, because weight loss drugs is a separate drug category, and that coverage needs to be added to the plan and paid for with separate premium. So what's happening is that claims are coming into the plan for weight loss that shouldn't be eligible for a number of reasons. And the annual cost for Ozempic is between $7,000 and $10,000 a year. So we're not talking about a couple $100s. We're talking about quite significant amounts that especially for smaller employers, are extremely impactful on the bottom line rates. What doctors should be doing is they should be prescribing Wegovy. Wegovy is Ozempic, but it is dosed and branded for weight loss, and it is approved by Health Canada for weight loss. This Ozempic going through this journey of being a weight loss drug is because doctors were happy to just prescribe it, and when it was not for not its intended use, right? They just went about it. And so what's happened is the insurance carriers have had to respond, and so have the provinces. Ozempic is a prior authorization drug now in most cases, where you need to prove that you are diabetic to use it. One, to ensure that we're paying claims according to the contract, so if weight loss drugs are included or not. Two, to ensure the supply of the drug, to make sure there's no shortages. And three, for cost control. Diabetes Canada still recommends metformin as the #1 go-to diabetes treatment. Ozempic is for later in your diabetes journey when other things haven't been working, etc. And that's some background there. So we're getting ready to launch our GLP-1 program. Some other carriers have already launched theirs, and others are also kind of in the phase of getting ready to launch. This problem is not going to go away because Ozempic is literally the magic weight loss diet pill we've been searching for since the 80s. Yeah, it's all over the news. The marketing's excellent. So we're going to have chatter about this for a long time, but insurance carriers are taking steps to ensure that claims are being paid according to the contract, and we're protecting employers from off-label prescription use.
Just as a side note, I know somebody who took a version of that for weight loss and suffered, actually was found in her apartment, basically unconscious because she suffered from, what is it called? There's a term for it, but ketosis, I don't know. It's like kind of like an acid reflux.
Yep.
I can't pronounce it, but something like that. Hospitalized and was found basically unconscious on her couch because it was being used for something that it should not have been used for. And that's great. But when you have, I guess in the United States, where maybe you can get something like that. Kesia, yes, I see that in the chat. Thank you, Candy, and everybody else. But I couldn't pronounce it. But yes, I know somebody, a family member of mine actually, and it's being promoted as weight loss with Kim Kardashian and all those people, and even at the Oscars there was a joke about it. But it's serious, and if your clients ask you to put, like, you need to put this through, we'll put it through, but we'll see if we can, if it's prescribed for diabetes, not because your doctor's too lazy to tell you to go and eat a salad and go for a walk. I'm being mean, but that's as best as I.
Obviously obesity is a really complex issue, and I think that Ozempic is really highlighting some of it, because it does show, that the genetic makeup, it is a lot more of a.
But anyway, right, that's sidebar. I just want people, our advisors to know, like,
whole categories.
It's brutal and it's serious.
The Ozempic's not to be taken lightly from a side effect standpoint, like you mentioned earlier. And weight loss drugs are meant to be prescribed and taken under the observation of a physician, because they're not meant to be taken forever. That might change as we learn more about the complexity of diabetes and our biologic makeup. And the GLP-1 is a really breakthrough drug category. We're learning a lot from it. So that might change. It might be that a diet or a weight loss drug is taken for life, but ultimately they're a separate category. We need to pay according to the contract. If an employer wants to support weight loss drugs, they should add that coverage to the plan, and we can flow things through appropriately. But so that's why we have this here on the higher cost regular drug category, because for a long time, these high cost drugs, people were a little bit like, oh, what happened to me? Because it was a small percentage of plan members, so a small percentage of clients affected. But when we're looking at diabetes, type 2 diabetes is rampant. It's the #1 condition in North America. Every single group that we have has diabetes drug claims. So it's common. And now we're dealing with drugs. Cholesterol could be on here. There's cholesterol drugs that are $7,000. The migraine drugs are $7,000. As 7,000 seems to be the key number. Asthma drugs are $7,000. There's eye drops that are $2,000. This category of drugs in particular is driving claims. Of our increase in claims spend from Q1 this year to Q1 last year, 20% of it is because of Ozempic alone.
So I would just like
interesting time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would just want our advisors to know that, communication and client engagement and employee engagement is key, because you
100%.
would hate to have somebody go to the drugstore who got prescribed this thinking that it was covered, and then it gets rejected, and there's a sense of, deflate, that can cause anxiety. You can feel deflated. And if you're in a Shoppers Drug Mart and the pharmacist is like, sorry, this isn't covered, and there's a group of people standing there, that is not an engaging way. So what I would say is, please reach out to us, because we have ways to communicate this type of thing to plan sponsors and plan members to make that experience, which could already be sensitive. Even we have ways of communicating that. So anyway, we can go on.
Yes, we can talk about drugs for a really long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
If David was on the call, he would have been
a really
all
long
over
time.
Yeah.
So another thing I can talk about for a really long time, but I'll try to compress it down, is mental health in the workplace. This is something, it's not just a work thing that people are recognizing in the workplace. It's something as a society, I believe the last 3 years has really shown us. We see it in news, we see it in the media over and over and over. There's a lot of studies out there. You can just Google ROI on mental health in the workplace. Having a focus on mental health in the workplace through tools like the Employee Family Assistance Program, this improves productivity. So it increases employee engagement, reduces absenteeism. So Marni is famously a Blue Jays fan, and I bet you Friday.
Not right now.
Was it Friday? Yeah, not right. Friday, Saturday, the new pitcher, $30 million pitcher.
He better show up. I'm not going to lie.
But what if that was something serious? So Marni was checking Twitter, checking the news, all that sort of stuff. Focused on baseball. What if it was something serious, and you found out that you just lost a parent, or somebody close, or what if you came into work today and last night your soon to be former spouse just let you know that they're moving out, they're separating. You come to work and you stare at the screen, or you Google separation agreements or child support tables or old folks homes or what have you. And so employee family assistance programs can help reduce absenteeism and reduce presenteeism, which is actually a bigger issue than absenteeism. Reduces drug costs, reduces disability costs, and also covers things like lifestyle, wellness, smoking cessation, financial advice, legal support. I used it twice last year for legal support, just dealing with divorce and having to rearrange court orders and child support as kids move back and forth, that sort of thing. You can do it face-to-face, phone, email, chat, video. And I think the next slide is going to show a really cool thing, though. One of there's really three reasons why people don't seek help dealing with mental health. And, I know in my own personal journey with mental health, I'm very open about that. The hardest thing for me was asking for help. So, asking for help, there's a shame of it and they don't know where to go. And what Sentio isn't EAP where you have to call in necessarily, or your plan sponsor, your employer has to add this. Every plan member with Equitable has this, and it's self-directed internet cognitive behavior therapy. So, this gives you resources and activities that are self-directed for depression, for anxiety, and for overall mental health. So Marni gave an example of, generalized anxiety. Something happens. What if that triggers, something else with that individual from the pharmacy? They have this tool where they could work through different steps, develop tools that they can access to manage through that and process those emotions in real time. And it helps with, again, employee engagement, employee productivity, but also family life and just general enjoyment of life. So there's treatment goals for stress, for sleep, depressive thoughts, and coping with panic. So it's, again, available to every plan member with Equitable. Sorry, Ravinder's asking to see the previous slide, Megan.
Okay, with the EAP slide. So Sentio is part of our our like baseline program that we give to all plan members. We know that mental health is a really important ask these days for employers. They want to support employee mental health. So we do have some tools like the Sentio ICBT built in. The Employee Family Assistance Program is available, at an additional cost, but I think it's most employers know what they are and kind of expect them to be on the plan. The nice thing about Homewood is that you do have non-phone call-in options, because I think that's the hardest way to seek help. You can do chat, email, and that kind of thing, and it's not. You can do video chats as well, or text chats. So there's lots of options to fit all of the generations and all of the styles. We have other mental health products as well that we can go through at another time. I know we're kind of getting close to the end here, and I want to quickly share some info about our small group product. But these are sort of the baseline must-have products that employers want to know about, and we have really great programs. So coming soon to an Equitable Life near you is our product called Easy Benefits. This is going to launch later in May, so I'm going to just give you a little sneak peek here on what this is going to be all about. This product is built specifically for small business owners, for businesses specifically with 2 to 25 employees. So that 2 is important, because really Manulife is the only other insurer in the marketplace offering plans for 2-person groups. It is not customizable. So we have 4 set plan design options that we feel will hit home as the most commonly requested plan designs. Everything from a base to a bit more of that Cadillac luxury plan. We are going to have an option that's insurance only, focusing in on the clients that want to have a big healthcare spending account and taxable spending account experience. So it'll be life, LTD if they want it, some drugs, and that's it, and then beef it up. We've got our next tier, which we're going to call Cheap and Cheerful. Really that starter plan. They just need to get something in place. The budget isn't big, but it's got some good insurance in it. It expands out a bit further, into some paramedical services and into dental. Then we've got our next tier, which we think is going to be the most average plan. It's a pretty classic. You've got 80% coverage, good drugs, 500 paramedics, a solid dental plan. We think that's going to be kind of the most common classic plan. If we benchmark benefits, it would be that option. And then we'll have for that premium, they really want to, show off. Money is no object kind of plan. Those will be the 4 options. And then you can choose to have or not have LTD. So once we've got the marketing materials made for that, we'll share them. You'll get to see it. It's going to be client ready so that you can be in a meeting, talking about it, in that initial kind of fact find phase. Our goal here was to make things really easy and to streamline that small group process. We understand that some small business plans don't sell because of the time it takes to get a quote and finally show it to them. And frankly, because there's too many options, you end up with that paradox with the choice, and no choice is better than making a choice because you don't want to make the wrong choice. And if you think about all of the micro decisions we have to make in a day-to-day, more choice is becoming actually quite bad. So we wanted to really streamline this process. Quote turnaround time is going to be 1-2 days max. The sign-up turnaround time is going to be 2 days. So that's really important. You can go see a client, you can go back and see them the next day, sign it up on the spot because it's 100% digital, and have that plan live within 2 more days. Monday to Friday, you've got a quote to sale, it's ready to roll. So we're removing a lot of those barriers that we know our advisor partners experience when setting up a small group plan. It's also going to have some really great value-added services for advisors, a good concierge service, and we're going to embed valuable products for the employers and the employee. We know marketplace-wide virtual care is embedded in most small group products. We're going to embed that as well when we launch that in the summertime. Our EAP program will be embedded, and we're going to have an HR resource embedded as well for business owners. So we've really taken our time to think thoughtfully around what the challenges in the marketplace are for the really small businesses, not just for businesses, but for advisors as well. So we're pumped to launch this product. It's been delayed a couple times in classic insurance carriers building a product fashion, but we're looking really strong for a trial run with a couple select people early May, and then that broader launch late May. So we can't wait to roll this out widespread with our partners at IDC. It's going to be an amazing product that we think is going to really support your small group growth, because there's like 98% of businesses in Canada fall into this market space. We have options available for that today. Those will remain to be there, but this is meant to be ultra competitive. If you do have a client, they're going to be growing outside of this space, and they need some more customizable options. We still have those. You can do a traditional quote, get a customized plan design. You can still do a MyFlex plan design. Those aren't going away. They're still there. We understood that the way that we quote small business today is too long, and it doesn't work for most small businesses. It will still work for some who have different needs, but we're really, really excited for this to launch.
So I have a couple of questions, and we've got 4 minutes, so I'm going to take them down into one. The first one is, when you say 2 lives, is that no medical evidence required?
Correct.
Perfect. Number 2 is, what's the renewal?
Yes, the renewal philosophy. Thank you, Marni. You're very key.
That's what I do.
This. Groups will have a semi-pooled experience similar to how we run our MyFlex renewal process. You won't all renew on the same date at the same time like the chamber plan. That creates a massive workload for our advisor partners to have this heavy renewal month. So groups will still renew with a standard, 16 months after sign up and then annual every year. But we will be looking at the experience of the block as a whole in order to protect the small businesses, because ultimately, if you have a 10-person group, one person's on Ozempic, your rates are toast. So we want to be able to leverage all of the group's experience together to make sure the renewal is good. And we're committed to investing into this to make it successful. We know that the first year, the pool itself might not be great because that's just
how it is.
Group acquisitions. You know, the first years, you have got to establish IBNR, you establish a lot of things. So we're committed to investing into this product to ensure smooth renewals while the pool establishes itself.
Okay, my last question on it is they are firm plan designs. There's no navigating through them. It's the plan design you want. So with that, it's not like you can go in and if I said to you, I wanted to add a $10,000 critical illness policy, that's not happening.
That's not happening.
But yeah. LTD is the option, and that's
so there's 4 options, and then you can choose to have or not have LTD. Benchmarking data showed us that like maybe 5% of companies in this size had critical illness. So we chose not to layer that in at this time, but we are planning on launching a new optional critical illness product later this year. And we feel that will be a nice fit for this block of groups.
Okay, 2 more questions. What happens if somebody has 23 employees and then moves to
50, 26, 29.
Yeah.
As a company grows, we'll keep them as is. We will not, no, it's for groups with or without current coverage. I'll kind of get into how that'll work in a second. As a group grows, they'll stay where they are unless there's a request. We've grown. We want to customize, we want to see our claims, then we'll actively move them out of this and rejig things. So this group is great, this product is great for groups that don't have current coverage, but it's not only for them. When you send us a quote request, you don't have to say, I want option 3. We don't want you to have to do extra work when you're quoting. So you can just send us what you're going to send everyone. And what we'll do is we will match it as close as, like, we'll choose which matches the closest. And we'll send you an option like 1 up or 1 down as well. So you can see, and we'll say, we think this matches closest to gold. Here are the deviations, but our plan design's pretty set and laid out from a comparison perspective because it's just the 4 options. But we will be experience rating as groups come in. So if a group currently has a plan and they'd like to transition to this renewal style, they're not happy with their current care, they don't like the service, we will experience rate them as they come in. So we're looking at the group's risk today based on themselves, and then going forward, they have that balance of, okay, we looked at your risk when you came in, and then we look at you going forward, your risk together. So awesome. Rating coming in, your risk as an individual, rating moving forward, your risk as a part of the larger group.
Outstanding. Okay, guys, it's 2:00. I know everybody has stuff to do, so I don't want to keep anybody longer than necessary. I guess we're going to be getting some information closer to May on this, so we're looking forward to that. If you have any questions or you're eager to see what this looks like, I would say please reach out to us mid-May once we've had a chance as your partner, as your IDC WorldSource partner, to have a look at it, to see what it is, to work with Equitable on it. And then we'll probably help do a soft launch and then a big launch of it. But I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so thrilled that our first carrier kind of presentation came from you guys. I'm very excited about everything here, and thank you so much for the content and taking the time out.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. It was great.
Amazing. Guys, this is recorded. We're going to be posting it on Win Big. So if you know anybody or somebody on your team wants to see it, I'm sure it'll be edited, and then we'll put it up and we'll send it out in a bulletin as well. So thank you everyone and have an amazing day and happy holidays. Passover, Easter, whatever, Blue Jay season, go and have a great day. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.